Hey. All right, I'm in there. It's a little hot. Let me back up the game. Well, is it the game? Yeah. Let me back up the game and start sending out some invites for today's show. Um, it's going to be an interesting show today. I'm not going to talk about it just yet. I'm just going to start sending out these invites, getting some people on the line so we can talk today. Oh, no, I'm not gonna spend all my ammo, but yeah. So I did find out something interesting today when I was trying to put out and edit the interview that I did with the Mushroom Goddess. Apparently, you can't edit live shows. What you got is what you got, and that's pretty much all it can be. Okay, let's go to WhatsApp. Don't. There's a little pressure now. Now that I'm not just playing around, and it's a little intimidating. Just a little bit intimidating. But let's put on a little bit of music. Some good old. Actually, I've been listening to that Donda album by Kanye West, and I have mixed feelings about it. Um, the very, the very first part. The very first song on the album, where he's just repeating his mom's name over and over and over. That actually really touched me, and it kind of hurt because, like, put this on. Just hearing that, hello. Just hearing that is I think I like actually hearing my voice. Just hearing that is like a direct cry for pain um, that somebody's expressing. That's kind of like it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain unless you've lost a loved one to really just be like screaming out for their name and wanting their presence. Somebody that's always been there to not be. It's a really difficult thing. You know, I'll say this one little thing and then I'll get to what we're talking about today. One of the hardest things about being a parent. I was in the garage with my daughter and she fell and I picked her up. And I was like, "Oh, don't cry, baby. Daddy will always be there." And that's one of the most difficult things about being a parent is that that's a lie to a degree, that you're going to leave one day well before they do. And you want to protect them at all costs for, whatever happens, but you're not always going to be able to. And that's a very hard pill to swallow. So you have to prepare them the best you can for your eventual absence. And that will lead us into today's topic. Today's topic is the true love paradox. And it's an interesting thing, right? So, what's the true love paradox? Well, what is a paradox? Yeah, my brain's giving me fog right now. But basically, why is it that the more you chase something, the farther and farther away it gets away from you? Like me, for example. Man, I used to chase money and love, right? And for some reason, I couldn't seem to get either. They both would elude me, get away from me. Love, I found a little bit earlier. Money, I'm just now starting to get. I mean, the stuff's kind of, it's really weird. It's kind of just falling from the sky now, right? And it never was like that before. I used to have to scrunch, struggle, and really fight to get any kind of money. Like, before I started working where I work now, I'm not gonna say because, like I said before, this stuff, I was only $13.65 an hour working at a law firm with a good friend of mine. And man, it kind of sucked. Uh, I don't see you on there. Hold on, Dan. Hmm. Where are you in? Dan tried to get in, but it won't let him in for some reason. Don't see you. Try. Sometimes it does this to where. Sometimes it does this where. Okay, Tia Simi, he's in there. Um, so what I'm talking about, and I'll bring it back because now we got somebody new in here, as opposed to me talking to myself, is the true love paradox, right? The more you chase things, the more they seem to elude you, right? The further and further away those things get. Just like when you're dealing with, if you're afraid of something, right? What do? You have to go towards it. You have to actually face that thing. And I'm noticing now more and more that things don't work the way that I initially thought they did. I'll give you an example, right? Besides being afraid of something, having to go towards it, there's a lot of other paradoxes in life. Like my wife just had a birthday. Now, my birthday was the week prior, hers is this week. And for my birthday, I just went out, got my hair cut, went to a farmer's market, came back home, played with my daughter, and that was it. That was my whole birthday. For her birthday, I went out and I threw her a party. I didn't go. I stayed home with the baby at a place called Club Vino, which is owned by a good friend of mine. We used to work together at the same place where I made the $13.65. Oh, anything wrong with it? I'm also trying to buy a camera. And still, I'm trying to buy a camera. Anyway, Clavino, she went out and she had a good time. And I learned for the first time that why it's better not to be selfish, right? Because when you're selfish with something and you do something all for yourself, and don't get it twisted, there's nothing wrong with doing things for yourself. But, oh, okay. I hear your voice very low. Let me turn it up. Can you hear me a little bit better? Are you? Sometimes it does that. Orco, I can't say your name. They said my voice is coming in low. Tell me if this is any better, y'all. Oh, it's peaking right there. It's Todd, but hey guys, let me know how my my voice sounds fine. Okay, good. I have the Shure SM7B, and so it takes the cloud lifter. Nah, y'all don't want to hear any of that. Back to uh paradoxes, like being selfish. When you're selfish, only one person is getting joy from that action. Whereas if you give, two people are happy. And the more and more I look at things, I start to realize that everything works in this paradox. And I was out on my morning walk and I finally figured out something really interesting. How to find true love, right? This is going to sound really corny. I know you guys are waiting for the build up. But the only way to find true love is to love yourself. Now, obviously, we all know that. We've heard it all a billion times. Let me turn this down. We've all heard it a billion times. But it's true. But it's true. Because think about it like this: like attracts like. And if you don't love yourself, what kind of people do you expect to attract? Now, some people say users and that. No, you're going to attract somebody that's a direct reflection of you, i.e., probably somebody that doesn't love you. And then it turns into this self-fulfilling almost prophecy where you keep attracting more people. Harry, what's going on? You attract more and more people who are giving you what you're putting out. So the only way to find true love is to begin to work on yourself. Can you see me? No, Dan, I can't, man. The only people that show up in my the problem might be if you have headphones or not. Maybe that is the issue. So the only people that are currently in the chat room are Tagba and Harry and Tristan. It might be the headphone issue that we talked about. I'm not 100% sure, but I cannot see you in the chat. And it tells me everybody that comes on. But yeah, true love, if you don't love yourself, and that was one of the biggest issues that I had. I didn't love myself. And I attracted the women to show it. Do I need an account with Podbean? Maybe. I don't think you should. Anybody in the chat, did you have to create an account with Podbean before you were able to call in? Let me know. I didn't know if that was a thing or not. So you just did. Were you able to listen to me prior to that? Or did you have to? Okay, for calling in, I guess you do need a Podbean account. Good to know. Sorry, Dan. My bad. That's why you can hear me, but you can't call in. But all these life works in a complete paradox. For example, when we think about true freedom, right? When we think about freedom, we think about what? Doing what we want, being, wanton, crazy, over here, over there. Right. True freedom comes from discipline. Somebody else joined with a bunch of symbols. True freedom comes from discipline. Think about it like this. If you want to get financially free, do you just go and spend money on whatever you want? Or do you create a budget and adhere to it? If you want to be free in the physical sense, do you just eat and drink whatever you want? Or do you follow a diet of exercising? You see what I'm saying? Everything that you want, you have to do the opposite of that thing. For people who maybe suffer from poor self-esteem, don't know how to speak up for themselves, present company included. I'm not a very aggressive person, but I'm learning to be more assertive. And being assertive and being aggressive are two different things, and it took me a long time to understand that. You can disagree with people without being upset. You can set boundaries without being angry. You get to choose that. It's kind of like what I talked about before with emotional Aikido. And this is the first time, that I've been really practicing this more and more. And I think it's from reading that book, The Four Agreements, and really tuning in and tapping into my emotions, right? So just because somebody gives you something doesn't mean that that's what you have to do with it. I'm kind of close now. For example, if somebody gives you negative energy, You don't have to do negative things about you. You can do whatever you want with that emotion. It's purely contingent on you. People can yell at you, curse at you, spit at you, insert whatever. Nowhere does it say that you have to respond with negativity. Me, for example, my general response when I got negativity is I would internalize and then turn that in and do negative things to myself. Not like physically harming myself, but in a way you could say that. I guess if you really thought about it and got into the weeds of it, if you wanted to, and this is an interesting thought. What's the difference between smoking cigarettes and suicide? Or any self-destructive act and active suicide? Because if you think about it, what is suicide? Trying to kill yourself. I don't think anywhere in the definition of suicide is length or speed at which the death takes place. When we think of suicide, we think of, the usual things: somebody shooting themselves, cutting themselves, harming themselves, etc., etc. Well, isn't smoking and drinking to excess harming yourself? What's the difference? And I engage in a lot of self-injurious acts due to low self-esteem. I mean, I've really been in some really dark, dark places in my life. But the interesting thing was it was all self-inflicted. It all started with the mind. I've been on reading a ton of books through Audible. Um, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, The Master Key, uh, Eat That Frog, the good one for procrastination. I've been reading Contagious. I've been reading The Way of the Superior Man. Um, the Almanac by Frank Neville. And they all say every single freaking book I read says the exact same thing without fail. And the thing that these books say is that it's in the mind. You know what you want. You know what you want to do. Just do it. Just do it. It's not what we make it out to be. It's not harder than what we make it out to be. What if there's a thing that you like to do, whether you're good at it or bad at it, if it makes money or not, just do it. I got a bunch of random thoughts and notes that I wrote down, and it seemed a lot deeper when I wrote it down than what it is right now, but whatever. So I was watching a YouTube video, and I want you guys to go look at it whenever you have a chance. And it's called How Falling Behind Can Get You Ahead. And it's about a lot of different, well, it's about specializations and late bloomers. And I can tell you I'm the king of the late bloomers. It says that the more elite people, okay, let me bring it back. So we're all familiar with the however many hours is it, 10,000 hours theory. And so we're all thinking that to be good at something, you have to pick it early, specialize in that thing, and then just stick with it for the rest of your life. And that's the only way you're going to be good at it, right? That's not necessarily true. So in this study, in this TED Talks, they talk about how the greatest people have a sampling period before they pick a specialization where they try a bunch of different things and then they kind of, find the thing they like, and that's when they pick their specialization. And it's found that the elite of the elites in almost every facet of life do this thing: sports, music, business, all of it. You have a smaller number of people who specialize early. So they had a study in England about this, and this is what the conclusion was: people that specialize early in things, we'll say school or whatever, they jump out to a greater income start in the beginning, but they usually quit later in life because they find that that specialization they chose isn't really what they wanted. But for the group of people that specialize later, they fit what they like to do better because they had a lot of time thinking of it, and they close that income gap in 6 years. And from what I've just seen in my own personal life, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Excuse me. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I don't know if I'm going to start keeping these 2 hours anymore. 45 minutes feels pretty good. So, anyway, anybody want to call in? You can call in. Say what you want to say about the true love paradox or paradoxes in general. You know, I'm here to chat. You know, I might start taking breaks if I can figure out how to press the music button. But anyway, anybody that wants to call in, definitely call in. I have special guest Dan Nzinga coming on a little bit later at 8 o'clock hour. And well, he's a really interesting guy. Me and him met through some motivational Facebook groups, and he is easily the happiest man I know. Every time I look at his Facebooks, he's incredibly excited and always has a positive word. And I'll be honest with you, that's the kind of energy you need around you. You don't need no Debbie Downers around you because let me tell you something. If you're around negative people, no matter how high energy you are, they will suck the freaking life out of you. They really will. They really will. I mean, and I've just gotten to the point now where I've had to distance myself from so many people. I've had to distance myself from so many people just because of that just negativity, man. I didn't realize what a powerful force negativity could be. I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I'm looking at this camera, a PowerShot SX. Can I see you now? Let's see, Dan. What is your username? But dang, I think I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I have no idea what I was gonna say. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. Completely lost my train of thought. Looking at this freaking camera, man, I've realized that when I get like hooked on something or if I get locked in on something, I'm gonna do it. Jesus, man, I thought for the longest time that it was an addictive personality, and it is to a degree. But I realize now, man, it's all good. I realize now that I can use that same power for good. And once I get on a tear, and once I get into like just focused in on something, there's literally nothing on the planet that can stop me or slow me down. And that still can be a good thing or a bad thing because, buddy, yeah, sometimes it's not the greatest thing. I'll be honest, because if I'm distracted. Somebody call in, keep me company. Don't have me talking to myself for the last 30 minutes about nothing. Thank you, people. Thank you, my brother.
Going on there?
It's difficult to ramble on for 24 minutes, but it's really because I'm distracted trying to debate if I want to buy a camera. I'm trying to research cameras now. Why can I not see you? Man, my guest keeps trying to call in and I cannot see him. It's the weirdest thing.
Um, I Is he in the chat room?
No, his username is DANGC, and I don't see him.
Because you're gonna, because there's a way that you can invite somebody. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
Did
sent
you
him an
try that?
invite. Yeah, I tried sending him an invite. And nothing. This is very odd. I wonder.
I don't know.
I
See,
don't know.
that's the thing. Like I don't. I'm not really super familiar with the interface of this
Yeah, it's just weird.
specific program, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's just really weird. But anyway, what do you think about some of the things that I was just talking about? True love paradox, or paradoxes in general.
Um, paradoxes exist for a reason.
You
Um,
might turn it down your TV just a little bit, man.
I'm sorry.
No, it's no
They
worries.
they they're kind of in my from I guess this is something that I believe. They're kind of tools used for decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're not always going to get the right answer, but that's the thing. Sometimes getting the wrong answer assists you to, I guess it's once again essentially a tool for you to, and sometimes there's no such thing as a right answer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But once again, it assists you in becoming a better decision maker or problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, me being the engineer that I am, and me being, you know, you, I believe that one purpose of life, because I don't like the idea that there is a purpose in life. There are many purposes and sub purposes in a sense. One of them being that life is an everlasting problem that needs to be solved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we ask what's life purpose is a problem in itself. Actually, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Hmm.
um, once again, I mean, I pretty much, I pretty much, in a sense, created a problem in itself, and we always, the never lasting problem is, what's our purpose? Why are we here? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Um, and that's one thing that I've learned from paradoxes, in a sense that we're here to, that's how we get better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's how we evolve ultimately. Um, you have to you have to you have to slice and dice through some of these problems. Sometimes you have to move. Sometimes you have to move the branches. Sometimes you have to take some of those branches and make fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You know,
that's ultimately. Mhm.
no, you're absolutely correct. I was watching a YouTube video, and I'm
Mhm.
following you now. Why did I not see him? I was watching this YouTube video, and it was about a boy and a farmer. And
Mhm. Hello, Donaldson. I think you got muted. Um, I don't know if you muted yourself or if I mean, I don't know if you're trying to do something and you muted yourself, but at the right now you're muted. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit while you figure out what's going on.
can you hear me
Oh,
now?
there you are. You're back.
All right, I pressed
Yeah, I
the mute.
can. I
I
can.
pressed the
Okay.
mute button. No,
Okay.
yeah. So let me just get into it. So this boy stops asking the farmer questions, and the farmer's like, "All right, man, you got to beat it." And the kid's like, "What? Oh, I've been learning so much." He's like, "No, you stop learning from me. You're not following. You're just doing everything that I'm doing blindly." And so then the farmer pulls out a picture of the farm that they're at, and he asks the kid, "What do you see?" And the kid's like, "I see a tree. I see a river, And he's like, no, you see an image of what those things are, but what they'll be in the future are completely different. And that's what it's like when you follow some other man. When you're following another man, all you're doing is following the blueprint or the roads that this person's traveled, and they might not be beneficial to you, because each of us we're our own individual people and have our own blueprint for life. What makes us happy, what makes us sad. And if you follow somebody else's plan, how are you going to find your own bumps in the road? And I'm not telling the story the way that it's told, and I will definitely post it on here. But it was really interesting, and it just, the more and more I think about it, I just start to realize that you do have to lead your life the way that you want to live it. That's really the only way to do things. Anything other than that will cause great dissatisfaction in life. It just really will, because you always got to realize that your life is the movie that you make in your head, and so there's so many things that you can control. And I was thinking about this. You ever notice that everything's different when the story is yours, right? You never realize how far you've fallen or how far you've come when it's your story. Like when you see other people, it's very easy to see if they've fallen off, if they're ahead of the game. Like it's very apparent on other people. But for some reason, we don't give ourselves props like that. Or we're not honest with ourselves when we start to really fall down the rabbit hole. Like I was telling you guys earlier about being in dark places. I've been pretty effed up. I mean, pretty out there, right? And let me see if I can share this. No, pretty out there. Really having a hard time with life. Oh, here we go. I do see. Hold on, Dan. I just sent you something. All right. Just sent. I sent Dan an invite because now I was able to see him on my people listening. Why it didn't say you or log you in, don't know. But give it a try, man. Let me know if you can hear something. Because I know, from what I've seen anyway, that you've got some fire viewpoints. And I love to hear them. I'm going to follow you back. One more time. Sending Dan an invite. Maybe this will keep me out from buying a freaking camera. It have come through the app. Man, this thing is really giving me a hard time today. It's invite a speaker. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. This is whack. I usually never have this much issues getting people on. But also, I'm shooting from my iPad because my wiggity whack MacBook is acting stupid. I just got it fixed and now I got to send it back.
But that MacBook has been giving you a lot of hell, man. Is it the same one we're talking about?
It's a new, yeah. I got rid of it, got a new one, and this is I've only had this one for like 2 months, and it keeps making this weird whooshing noise, and then just turning
Wow, that's
off.
weird.
I'm like, Mac, you're falling off. Now my iPad Pro is a beast. Like it's actually really good. I really gotten into photography more. Photography. Actually, okay, so this is the list of new things that I'm into right now. Photography, like legit photography with the camera, even though my phone is pretty cool. Charcoal drawing, right? So I don't like graphite, the regular pencils that you get from school. I like big, thick chunky charcoal, and I even like getting loose powdered charcoal and making images with my hands. So that's the other thing. And boxing. So I've already been boxing for a while, but now I'm trying this new thing. It's called the high guard. And so, if you guys ever get a chance to go look at a expert demonstration, an older version of the high guard, I'm on my laptop. I don't see it. To look at an expert version of the high guard, try on your phone. Try on your phone. You would have to go look at Winky Right, right? So the high guard. So you make a fist, boom, you make a fist, and you basically staple it almost to like right at your eyebrows or a little bit below, right there, and you keep it tucked in tight. And so, really, what you're supposed to do, because this is for people that are shitty at defense like myself, you keep it right there, and then if somebody tries to hit you in the body, you just lean to the side, and it covers up those sides. It covers up those sides, and since you're wearing gloves, because of where your hands are placed, it makes it difficult to slip through. A modern day example of it is Canelo Alvarez. So there's different types of boxers, right? Different types of defense. You got your Philly shell, which is popularized by Floyd Mayweather. You got your hands down kind of guys like your Roy Jones. You have the high guard. You have a long guard, which I guess the best way, it's more of a Muay Thai thing. Left hand, palms out, right? You put your palms out and just extend your right hand farther, left hand a little bit closer. And it's kind of like you're telling somebody that you're like pushing them away saying stop, right? And it's really, you use that right hand to smother the jab and then you use the left hand to hit it. It's irritating because something I learned about boxing that I didn't know is that you can slap people's hands away and then hit them. I don't know why I thought that was illegal for the longest time. I don't have a mic. Okay. Well, still, man, you can call in. You don't have to have no mic. If it'll let you. See if it'll let you do it from your phone or if you have headphones. But yeah, you can smother. And I've always
That's how I do it. Like I've been speaking from a mic the whole time. I mean, from my phone the whole time. And
Do you have
everyone
headphones or no
says it.
headphones?
I have headphones.
Okay. I'm starting to think that
Yeah,
the headphones is the deal breaker. I think you have to
yeah.
have
Like I
headphones to come
couldn't
in.
I couldn't call in. I couldn't call in without headphones.
Okay, then that's what it is. So everybody, you gotta have headphones. I don't think there's any other way to get around it. It won't let you do anything without the headphones. You only can listen. Um, yeah, so hop up in here. But yeah, man. I was watching Glory Kickboxing this weekend. They had a really good event. Uh, Badir, Badir, he's like this older guy that's been around for a long time. And then you have I can't remember. All right, so you do need headphones. No worries, no worries. Or we can try again next week. All right. So Dan's not gonna be able to make it on this evening, but it's cool. It's cool, you know. You always have to be able to roll and adapt. Never get too worried. Never get too rigid because that's when you do that. When you get all rigid and worried about everything that's gonna occur, all it does is freak you out. I worked in the emergency room for quite some time, and you learn to just adapt. Just adapt. It ain't that big a deal. Nothing's gonna happen to you. Like, I don't even see things as a failure. This is good to know, good information, so I can let my next guest know, hey, you've got to have the headphones. Um, but I'm still really eager to talk to Dan. But I did an episode this Friday. Also, I did this one today. I think I'm out of juice. Unless you guys got something to say, anybody wants to call in, I think I've dropped what I got to drop. And oh wait, Dan, I can see. Why does it say you join now? Anyway, I think that's a good run. 45 minutes. If anybody has anything to say, want to call in, let me know. Or I might just keep rambling. Now that I've covered the topic, Sam was cracking. Sam, you know what? I'm gonna keep talking. Sam, you always be calling in. after I'm almost done and shit. So I'll keep going a little bit longer for you. Let's bring it on back to the love paradox, right? So, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Sam, it's all good. Hello? Caller. It almost let you through. It's all good. So the love paradox is hello. Hello, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's Dan? What's going on, baby?
Hey, never give up.
Never give up. Never give. Right when I was about to hang it up, hang up the chips, you came through. Big shot, Bob.
That's right.
All right. So what did you have to do to get it working?
I just went through my phone and then I just kept on pursuing. I don't have headphones, so it
Oh
works.
wow, it works. All right, all right. So everybody, this is special guest Dan Nzinga. Is that correct?
Dan Nzinga, yes, sir.
I actually had to look that up. I was on your YouTube page, not you, yeah, your YouTube page, DreamWorks, and we've
Mm-hmm.
also been participating in a 21-day challenge. And I believe today is day 5. I want to say that I'm really grateful that you allowed me to, jump in on that. At first, I was a little reluctant, like most people with these challenges, because you think it's hokey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just like with, um, I tell people if you ever want to get therapy, there's only one thing that you need to bring to the table if you truly want to be successful with therapy, and that's just to have an open mind and try it. And I promise you, you'll get something from it. And I'm starting to see that with this 21-day challenge. I haven't
Yeah.
started day 5 yet, but I'm getting a lot from it. But enough of my rambling. Dan, introduce yourself.
My name is Dan Nzinga. I am the founder and creator of DreamWork, which is a coaching consultant. We help people achieve things that they want to achieve, what's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the owner of Everything Vacations, which is a vacation company I had created before COVID hit. It
Mm-hmm.
slowed down a little bit, which is great because that gave me time to focus on something else I love, which is coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
so I use the 21-day challenge models a lot because I believe that setting up little steps every day, you'll get further than trying to do one big leap all at once.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I've really been into, and I can't think of what book I was reading, into habit building, right?
Hmm.
And it makes you realize that all habits, good or bad, literally whatever that thing is nothing but a habit. And if you made it, you can undo it and make a new one.
Hmm.
Literally anything that you set your mind to. But continue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's pretty much the introduction. And yeah, I don't know if you have a question or something, but
Sure,
that's
sure. So yeah, I have a couple of questions. You seem really, really motivated to help people, and you're really into motivational books and sayings and quotes. Were you always like that? Did a parent introduce you to it? How did you start becoming this way?
so when I was younger as a teenager, I started wanting to play basketball. I wanted to go to the NBA, and I started reading all the books about Jordan, Magic Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Larry Bird, and other stuff. And it was just you had to be positive because you really it's one out of a million, more than one out of a million chance of making it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what probably started my positivity
Mm-hmm.
was, and I remember the moment exactly. I was watching like it was like the highlights on the news thing, and I saw guys. I thought it was really impossible to make the NBA because the guys are so good and so big. But then I was watching these highlights, and the guy was like missing a jumper. Somebody else took a shot. I'm like, I can do that. I could miss
Mm-hmm.
a jumper at the corner right there. you know? And so I was like, I can do this. I'm like, I saw them. I'm like, I can be as good as them. I'm like, okay, I'm in 8th grade. If I work really hard, 4 years of high school plus 4 years of college, I got 8 years to get as good as BJ Armstrong. I'm like, I can make it. I'm like, I don't have to be the best player on it, but I can make it.
Right.
And so you have to have that optimism,
Mm-hmm.
and people think you're crazy. You're not going to. You just have to have this firm belief and positivity because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a chance without that.
Right. No, yeah. Did you make it?
Although I did not make the NBA, I did play professional overseas, so
There
I
you
still
go.
got to go further than most guys. And I played, I got scholarships all through college,
Hmm.
and so and there were some guys 6'8", 6'10", big guys that didn't make it as far because they didn't. They're like, I'm not gonna make it to the NBA.
Hmm.
I didn't make it, but I still got to play till I was 29 and live
No,
in Paris, France,
that's
and travel.
cool.
Yeah.
No, that's actually really cool, and this is on so much of a smaller scale than obviously going to the NBA. But I'm really big into fitness, right? And I was talking to my buddy of mine from the Man podcast, and it hit me for the very first time in life why you have to set your expectations higher than what you think they can actually be. Like for me, you heard the popular myth of like not myth, the popular fitness tip of walking 10,000 steps, right? And at first, that
Hmm.
was my goal for the day. But then I said, you know what? I was rehabbing from a hip injury, so I couldn't run. There's a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. So then I set my goal to be 20,000 steps a day. And at first, it seemed unachievable. And some days I make it, some days I don't. But the thing about it is, what I started to realize is that if you set your expectations up really high, you'll put out forth that level of effort. And while you may not reach that goal, the effort that you exert and put out will be more than if you just tried walking 10,000 steps. If your goal is only to walk 10,000 steps, then that is the amount of effort you'll exert and you won't go any farther than that. But if your goal is to do something like 30,000 steps, you may not hit it every day, but you might get 20, you might get 25, and you'll start also building those positive habits. Like they say that it's easier to like my do you have a bad habit, Dan? Mine is sweets.
Funny, I'm snacking on some sweets now.
Oh, put
So
it
I,
down.
but I don't know if I'm addicted because I can go weeks without it. But sometimes I get a sweet tooth, and I've had to
Mhm.
deal with it. But I'm actually right now in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, nice.
I'm like right across the beach. So on the beach there's these people who sell these sweets that they make with this like made with coconut and
Hmm.
hemp. I've been snacking on those. And I run out, and I'll go a couple of days without, and I'll go back and get some,
Yeah.
you know, coconut sweets.
S-
But
hmm.
to back up what you were saying about the
Yeah.
goals,
Hmm.
is that one thing I've learned because helping people achieve their goals is that the goal doesn't you don't actually make it. You don't
Hmm.
actually make it. It makes you. So the goal that you have create makes you. It
Hmm.
does that goal that I had of going to the NBA made me who I am.
Hmm.
I didn't make the goal. So that's why I totally agree. You got to set it high
Hmm.
because that's what's going to make you. You don't want to get to the finish line. You want to run through it
Yep.
with force. So if you set it kind of too low, you want to set it in a way where you have to push harder to get to it.
Yeah. And it
So
does so much when you do that. It changes your character.
hmm
Like for me, I had decided that I wanted to get in my first boxing match, and I've talked about this a lot. And I did it for the first time in February. I'll post my old picture up, but I was a typical gamer, drank a lot of beer. So I've smoked cigarettes since the age of 18 to 30. So nothing would indicate that that was possible. But I mean, I put everything into it. I mean, like waking up at 3 o'clock every morning to train, to jump rope. I went to the gym every day. I got injured, and I still was able to push through that. But in doing that, I had somewhat of a spiritual experience, right? Two things happened. One, I mean, I actually cried the night before, the day before my fight. I cried. I broke down. And someone was asking me why. Because, for the first time in my life, I got to determine who I was.
mm,
No one else got, because, I was hearing it the whole way, like, oh, you're crazy. Why would you want to do that? But for the first time, what everybody else had to say didn't matter. It didn't matter who they thought I was to be. I got to determine who I was to be. And the
mm,
second thing, in doing that training and being so diligent, I beat one of my biggest demons. And the two biggest demons that I've had that have kept me from success are procrastination and inability to complete tasks. You put those two things together, you're not getting too far.
Nope.
So let me
Yeah.
ask you this, Dan. For most new business owners that you work with, what is one of the biggest things that causes them to to fail with their business?
You actually just said them: procrastination and
Mm-hmm.
inability to finish tasks.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest things. Of course, added with self doubt and not really knowing the feeling like, okay, am I making the right choice? Second
Mm-hmm.
guessing yourself
Mm-hmm.
and afraid to make mistakes. I mean, that's when people,
Mm,
I'm scared to make mistakes. I'm going to wait till I have it figured out before I start. And I tell it, just start. You're going to learn these
yep,
things along the way because
absolutely.
what works for John down the road is not might not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody really. That's why I don't like comparing people too much because everybody's in a different situation. You can't compare,
Mm-hmm.
one guy from the next because he just had a different situation. I mean, if we look at like in sports, is it really fair to compare Michael Jordan to Isaiah Thomas? They got
Yep.
one was 6'6", the other guy was 6'1". Is it really fair? I mean, do they have the same advantage in life? Do they have the same qualities? Do they have the same skills? Like you can't. It's just kind of unfair to compare because we didn't have the same tools. We're not given the same things in life and the
Right.
same mindset and the same. And so everyone's on their own journey. And so just go. You might make your mistake. You need to make your first mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't work for you. So, and it might work. You might try something crazy no one ever did, and it worked for a while. And the second year it doesn't work. And that's why, one of the programs we do is like 5 years. The first 5 years of someone's business, we want to guide them because you're going to get breakdowns. You're going to have some bad days.
Mm-hmm.
That's just common. If you don't have, I would say, if you don't have a shitty day every 5 or 6 days, then you're not doing enough. You're not reaching
Right.
high enough. Because if it's always good days, it's too easy. You gotta have. You're gonna have some bad days, and you can't have only bad days. Then then something's wrong. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're on your right path, every week there should be one day that's not as good as the others. There should be one bad day because you're trying to do something new and something different
Mm-hmm.
than other people.
It's funny that you say that. I agree 100% with all your points. Have you ever read a book called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant? I can't ever say it.
That sounds familiar.
Well,
I
let me
don't
tell
think.
you something. Absolutely, today, go download it, go read it. Um, Anything that I would have to say, and I read a billion of these type of books, but anything that I have to say wouldn't be really doing the book justice. But it's about walking on your own path and in your own way and just striking out, because he said something that has really inspired me and it's really helped me push forward even harder with doing everything that I'm doing and trying to become independent. He said that all you literally all you have to do is be you. Find something that you like to do, regardless if you're good at it now or not, regardless if you'll ever make, and just do that thing. Just do it. Because the thing about it is, when it's something that you like doing, you're going to put in more man hours than somebody else trying to be you. Because,
Mhm.
like me, I like photography, I like art, I like doing this podcast. Generally, I will wake up and start. I mean, from 6:30, from the time, well, I wake up at 3:40. From the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, I work on this stuff all day. And it doesn't even feel like work at all. And I've never had that. So check the book out, man. I think you will really, really, really enjoy it, and we can talk about it some more after you finish it up.
Great. Yeah, I'm a great supporter of that whole concept. I
Mm-hmm.
was listening to Warren Buffett speak one time, and obviously everyone knows he's a big billionaire. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the students asked him, what they should do in life to be as successful as him or be successful. And he was said, it's really not about what you do. He's like, find something you love, even if it doesn't make money. Because he said the only difference really he said being a billionaire is overrated. He
Mm-hmm.
said he said the biggest advantage of being a billionaire is when I travel, I get to travel faster. But he said I drive on the same roads, I eat in the same restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
There's no market that's like just for billionaires because they still have to do the same thing. He said the only difference that he flies on a private jet and maybe a few of his suits are a little bit more expensive. He said that's not enough to spend your whole life doing something you don't love just to make money.
Right.
You know, there's no advantage. So if you like teach in school and that's where you
Just
get your
do it.
fulfillment, then do that one thing that you love, because being a billionaire is a little bit overrated from his perspective.
You know, I would actually have to totally agree with him on that. I've over the last year, my salary has gone to an amount that I never imagined. And it's so funny that the more and more money that I make, the less and less I care about it. Because what people don't think about when you don't have money and you're sitting there striving and fighting to get it, you have this misconceived notion that all your problems are going to be solved once you get money. Well, I have bad news for everybody that once you hit that magic mark, everything's the same. As the insecure person or whatever issues that you had, they're still there. The only thing that's solved, the only thing money fixes are your money issues. Um, Self growth and enjoying and look. You know, my I went down to Florida, and that's how I was able to read this whole book. Cause I got stuck in traffic because of Ida. I was talking to my grandma. She just lost her sister. My grandma's 81, and she said something to me, and it stuck. She's like, "I'm gonna start doing what I want now. I'm not gonna wait any longer." The moment I got home, I drove 18. It was an 18-hour drive. I stayed up pretty much 24 hours through the whole drive. I came home and immediately got to work. I cleaned my whole house. I got my DBA for the business, my tax ID number, all kinds of stuff. Because what my grandma said sparked something inside me. What are we waiting on? What are you waiting on to happen when it comes to your life and achieving those goals? Because what I'm starting to see is two things. And Dan, you can probably support me on this. One, it's not as difficult. The process is not as hard as we make it out to be. It's this big boogeyman in our head, but once you break it down into bite-sized chunks, it's doable. And two, our time on this planet is limited. You don't have a whole lot of it. So what are we doing in the meantime? Like, I'm choosing now to fill my life up with productive things, things that build and not take away. I'm not capping on anybody that watches TV, but if you're doing it all day, you just threw a whole day away that you could have improved on self. What do you think about that, Dan?
I absolutely 100% agree. And the way we measure success is like, oh, at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But if we measure success by being on the journey or
Yes.
dance, it's like the goal of dancing is not to complete the dance. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the for its ending. Is to actually dance, which is a process.
Yes.
Step. It's not like we're not waiting for the last note of the song to be like, oh, okay, I made it. Like we made it to the end, and we successfully danced. The
Mm-hmm.
whole point is to actually be in the dance. So on the journey
Yes.
of like entrepreneurship or whatever you're going, if you're on the road, you're successful. And we measure you're doing it. You're actually doing
Mm-hmm.
your thing.
That's
Like
it.
I'm here with other people, with other coaches and stuff, and it's like sometimes some of them might be, worried about financials or stuff like that. It's like, and then they wake up, they're like, I'm in paradise. I'm actually living
Mm-hmm.
in a DR. I'm in the Dominican
Mm-hmm.
Republic, living on the beach. I'm doing it. This is
Exactly.
the dream. The dream isn't something down the road, because once you get down the road, you're like, okay, I got to set some another goal. And I always say the mountaintop is when you like climb a high mountain. There's the thinnest air up there. And the air is thin. You're not supposed to be up there forever.
Mm.
You can't breathe good. So it's not. First of all, it's not for a lot of people. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are going to get all the way up there. And when you get up there, you're not supposed to live up there. Stay up there for a while, enjoy the view.
Mm-hmm.
But even the breathing is harder to do up there. So you want to come back down and go for the next mountain. So it's never you're never done.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey is really the reward. And I know it
Yeah.
sounds kind of like, oh, that's a cool phrase.
No, no, no. You know,
Journey.
you're so right, man, because like right now I'm training for a boxing match that hasn't even come in my head because it keeps me motivated every single day to work out and practice technique. I'm dealing with a shoulder tear and I might not actually get back in the ring, but it doesn't matter. I like the
The
I like
journey.
the journey. I just love it. Like when I was in the hotel room coming back, I decided that I'm gonna start learning how to sing. I talked about this a few days ago. No, I don't know how to sing, and I'm not gonna do it on this podcast right now. But then something hit me, because the first thought that I thought was, "Oh, you can't sing. You're not any good at it. Don't do it." And then it hit me. I was like, "Well, wait a second. What does me being good at it have to do with enjoying it?
Mm.
Nothing. You can
That,
do anything you want." And because the American way of thinking is that either you have to be good at it or you have to make money off it, then you can enjoy that thing.
you
No.
know, that
It's,
reminds me when I
mm,
used to play ball overseas, and we go to the gym, to practice. And there was this kid who would. So overseas they have clubs. So like the team will have like our team had like 12 different teams inside of it. Starts from little kids because they don't have sports in college or even in high school. Really, it's clubs. You sign up for the
mm-hmm,
club in the area. And you move up the club as you grow into the area, you move up. But anyway, there's this kid who'd always come to the gym shooting around, or I see him playing with the other kids. And this kid was terrible. Like this
mm-hmm,
kid, like for as many times as much as I saw him in the gym, I thought he had to be good. And this kid was terrible. His shot was terrible. He played. I'm like, this guy's just terrible.
mm-hmm.
And one day, just frustrated watching him play, I was like, yo, why are you playing? I was like, why do you play basketball? He said, because I like it. And I'm like, oh,
What can
and
you
he
say to
didn't
that?
care. He didn't care about what I had to say. He said, because I like it. And he kept on shooting. He's like, because I like it. And he kept on playing. He was not fazed by my little, like, yo, you need to quit playing basketball because obviously this isn't for you. You
Right.
need to. He did not care about what I had to say. And he liked it. And it's funny because he ends up being a referee. So he still found a way to stay around.
Wow.
And he started refereeing. He became a referee, and that's became his profession. It's to referee games because he loved the game. But
Dang.
he's always shooting around and stuff. Like I'm like, this guy is like, go do something. That's what I was thinking. Go do
Right.
something. But he that sentence, I still always remember that. He's like, I don't care what you have to say. Like so what he didn't say that, but that's when he looked
Mm-hmm.
at me. I love this, so I'm gonna stay around it. He didn't let me take away his dream. He didn't
Right.
let me discourage him. He said, "Because I love it," and that's it. And that was the end of the conversation. I had nothing else to say.
What else can you say? And the hidden truth about it that I'm starting to figure out, because like drawing and art is something I always loved to do, but because I couldn't draw a straight line, I didn't try. Well, I've been experimenting with it for the last since November, and surprisingly enough, I'm actually pretty good at it. Because the hidden truth of what they don't tell you is that if there's something that you like to do and you do it daily for 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, out, or however long you want to do it, guess
Get
what?
good at
You're eventually going to get good at it. Like you will. Like it will happen. Like I don't think any of us besides that kid that you're talking about know somebody who just enjoyed something, a hobby, and just did it every single day repetitiously. You start to learn things. You start to pick up things
it.
that the average person doesn't know. And I can almost guarantee you this. If you keep doing your hobby, doing what you like to do, you're going to start acquiring knowledge. And at some point, people will pay you for that knowledge, but don't go into it for that. Just keep doing it because you like it, because that's such an easy way to learn something. Because if you like it, it's not going to be a big deal.
And it's so true what you're saying because
Mm-hmm.
I started creating these 21-day challenge because someone invited me to one,
Mm-hmm.
Deepak Chopra, and it was a meditation 21-day challenge. And I was like, oh, I could use my content through this same kind of system is on WhatsApp,
Mm-hmm.
which was like, okay, how's this going to work? So, and during the challenge, that you have to run your own group where they send you something to read, and then there's an audio to listen to, and it's something to
Mm-hmm.
write.
Right.
And so I just invited everybody, right? And I had like 20 people doing the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I asked people, how did it go? Or how did, and some people say, oh, I listened to audio. It was great, but I didn't do all the writing part. Or the thing was too much text. So I just realized people weren't really doing it like they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So when I created my own process of doing it, I just had so much fun doing it. I was like, okay, I could get this content, break it in. I thought it was just pretty simple, but apparently I have a talent for that. Is I can literally get a book
Mm-hmm.
and just break it into 21 steps that people have
Any
to
book?
do. Any book, practically,
No
especially
way.
a how-to book. Yeah, especially a how-to book or A lot of times these books even tell you at the end of the chapter what to do, and people just don't do it. So instead of reading, people do the book in
Right.
21 days. Like read it. And some books I've turned into 2 challenges, like part 1 and part 2.
Do you mind telling me what book this challenge is based on?
So I have a book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. And there's some challenges that I created based on my own content. But a lot of them, like Think and Grow Rich, is also a book. You break it up into 21 steps.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, I haven't done that one. But there's just so many books where it comes from like, okay, I can make this into it. Like I'll see a book and say, this is a book that I got it from the library at work. It's how to get thoughts out of your head, which is almost like love and self-expression. We're going to get to that. And I'm like, oh, this is definitely a 21-day challenge. This is like, I can and I have fun doing them. That's the thing. I enjoy doing that. I created so many, I didn't even have a community to run them through. And it sounds that only like one person took, and people haven't taken them yet. But I'm basically creating this thing for like 1,000 people, and I don't have the 1,000 people yet. But I always want to do more, and I'm so happy when I'm doing it. When I start doing my challenges, I'm happy and it's sounding good. I do the audio and I put the little music on it. I'm like, oh, this sounds good. It just makes me happy.
You know what's funny? That would be miserable for me. Because I don't have that type of patience. And it's funny, like I don't have the patience to do that, but I can photo edit all day. I can draw all day. I can research stuff. Just even just like having this conversation, how we're more alike than we're different. But if I tried to follow your blueprint or vice versa, it just wouldn't work.
It's funny because when you're good at something, you think it's like easy. Like that's why Michael Jordan can't coach good, because he's always like, do it. Like Deion Sanders is like, guys, just run and catch the ball. Like he's like, how do you do it? Just run past the guy and then catch the ball. Like that's the whole thing. But yeah, so I was like saying, well, you know what? Everyone's gonna do the same thing. And a friend of mine was like, no, everyone's not going to be able to do it, especially the way checking the homework. I'm like, that's pretty easy. Simple to me. I love checking people's work. When they send in the work, I check it, I read it.
I hate it.
I can do that any moment, like during the day. It's like a hobby for me. It's like a break from reality. And I love it.
Exist.
And then other people are like, nah, it takes a special person to be checking people's work and stuff like that. I'm like, what? That's super easy. That's the fun part of it. It's hey, you didn't do the work, and sending them back the stuff and like, hey, I'm gonna have to remove you from the group because you're not doing it, And so, yeah.
Wait, is that how it first started? You have to go check other people's work?
No, when I did it.
Oh no, I thought you were saying that people in the group had to check other people's work. I'm like, no, I'll drop out.
Everybody send the work to me. I'm the only one who checks because it's like confidential, their homework. But I like doing that. But I thought that anybody in the group would be like, hey, I'm going to create my own challenge and just do it and run it the same way. Come to find out. So one of our participants, my first challenge was a challenge called CORE, which is teaching communication, organization, responsibility, excellence, CORE. It's like a formula that I use to basically accomplish anything. You got to communicate it first. You got to be organized.
To who?
To the world, to yourself. There's like 5 days just on communication, how you communicate, there's a way to like reestablish integrity. There's like 6 steps that I give out. Because if you go out, if you've been, a crackhead all your life and you try to make a bold declaration, it might not hit, like it might not land as if somebody else would say. So who you are makes a difference in what you communicate. Okay, so that's a big point that some people don't realize, that your person, your being, makes a difference. When they fought the American Revolution, they made a declaration first. Hey, we are going to. This is what we are. We're free. We're independent. They declare independence, and then they go fight the war to back up what they're saying. But the communication comes first. They didn't fight the war first. So in life, it's the same way. When you have a goal, you say, okay, I'll make a declaration. In 21 days, I'm going to do this, or in this amount of time, I'm going to do this. By 5 years, I'm going to do this. You make the declaration, and you go fight like hell for that declaration. But it comes first, and who you communicate with matters too, and how you communicate. So there's a whole formula. But anyway, this one lady, she is Canadian, and she's like, man, I want to translate this into French. Can I translate this French for my people? Because I got so much out of it. She was like, man, I quit my job. I got a new house, a new car. everything she got out of that challenge of seeing how to get her stuff. Like I can basically create any goal, and there's a formula
Mm-hmm.
to go get that goal. And she's like, and it works.
Yep.
So she was she said, I'm gonna translate, put it in French. I was like, yeah, go ahead. I gave her all the content, the audio content, everything. It took her almost a year to translate it to put it in. I was like, man, I thought it was gonna be like piece of cake. So it took her
Right.
a long time, and that's already having the content, it's just translating it, putting the music to it,
Mm-hmm.
doing the audio, and then going through all the. For me, it takes me a month. Really
But
a
that's because
month.
you how many, but how I mean, how many hours a day would you work on it?
I can do 2 days and
Mm-hmm.
1 day, so I could do day 1 and 2 and whatever. So really, I could do kind of, but to make it to put the audio, everything. So I would say 3.5, 4 hours.
A day.
Yeah, to finish to complete it, and then yeah, to do that probably in 20 days, I could probably be like totally done. But I always go back and correct it, perfect it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I like to say 30 days. But if I put a good 3 hours to 4 hours a day, I can complete it.
So you want to hear something funny about that? And I talked about this with TV, right? Why is it when you have a bad habit that if you do it for 3 to 4 hours a day, that's okay? Like if you come home from work and watch TV for 4 hours, that's fine. Drink beer for 4 hours, that's fine. Play video games, that's fine. No one has anything to say. But if you're doing something positive like what you just talked about, that's overzealous. You know what I'm saying? If you
Mm,
were to go to church for 4 hours a day, every day, if you were to hit the gym 4 hours every day, boxing for
mm,
anything positive that you can think of, you ever notice that that's frowned upon if you do it daily for a
yeah.
significant amount of time?
It makes people feel bad because they're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
People on the court get more hate than people that are in the stands or people on the bench.
Facts. That mirror is put up to them.
Yeah, and so they don't. And I could to me the difference between haters because I'm a coach, so I give people advice, and sometimes I have people who advise me, and I have people who criticize me and stuff. The difference between a coach advising is they want you to win. The guy that's a
Mm-hmm.
hater, he doesn't care if you when you're doing good, you never hear from him. He only has advice about to stop doing what you're doing.
Yep.
But whether you win, he doesn't care. He just wants to say, "I told you so," because he didn't make those decisions. He didn't have the courage to get on the court.
Yes.
He wants to wait until circumstances are perfect, which will never be,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why they turn into haters
Yep.
because they're rooting for against you,
Mm-hmm.
but they act like they're rooting for you. A lot of the haters act, "Hey, I'm just going to advise you on this. Is what I think," and they're giving you all these opinions. It's like, since when did you even care this much?
Facts.
You didn't even care this much, and now all of a sudden you care. So I've learned to when the more you're doing, you're gonna get people hating on you. That's just part of the
You
territory.
know, bro, I can be 100% honest with you. I used to think that was BS, but that's because I wasn't achieving anything. But now that I'm on this trajectory, like I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly my purpose, and things are falling in the line in a place that they never had before. Mostly because I said it and I determined it, and that's just what it's going to be. And life is moving out the way and making it. What I may want to happen is happening. Um, and the hate is real. It's an actual thing. Like because I've always been the underdog, the runt, the loser, lame, whatever you want to call those things. I don't put those labels on myself anymore. I've never had experienced jealousy this way. I've always been jealous of other people and envious. And, I had to let those things go to grow. But for now to be receiving it, it's a very odd feeling, and it's palatable. You know when it's coming your direction, and it's a lot of times it's from people very close to you. It's really weird because they're getting an upfront view of what that level of dedication looks like. And what you said is true. It bugs them because they know they could do it too. That was two part. They know they could do it too if they set forth uh and started, but then they start to realize that the reason that they are where they are is because they choose not to. And that's the only it's
It
not.
invalidates their excuses. The excuse
Mm-hmm.
that they use and you're not using it, it just basically says that excuse is just BS. So
Yep.
now they want to make sure, like, hey, no, I actually have a legit excuse for not doing this. But then you overcame your excuse, so now they got to find reasons. Either you're cheating or you're dishonest some kind of way,
Yeah.
your character somehow. Oh well, he abandoned what his responsibilities. He did. He's not doing. They're gonna try to
Mm-hmm.
find, you
Yeah.
know, to say that you're not doing the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
to justify their own lack of, ability to overcome their own objections. I
Right.
mean, because that's really what it is. We get objections in life, and you have to overcome them. And some people don't know how to overcome their objections in their own
Yeah.
head.
Yep. Literally in their own head, and that's where so many of the barriers lie. And I hate to use the word woke, but it does feel like waking up. Um, it feels like waking up from a bad dream. And what I mean by that is feeling like, before my dad passed away, he told me that one of his biggest regrets was that he didn't set a path for himself, and he let life guide him um, wherever it was going to. And that's why I asked you how you started on the journey, because my dad started me on this journey. The first book he gave me was As a Man Thinketh, and then Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then he gave me The Richest Man in Babylon. Then he gave me 48 Laws of Power. And at the time, I didn't get why he kept giving me these books. And I was an avid reader, so I read them and I started reading a whole bunch of them. It wasn't until this year that I applied the things that I had read. And that's a big thing, the application of them. And once I started applying them and realizing that God's got my back, all I need to do is set my intentions, decide what I'm going to do, and start walking in that way. I don't know why the hell I didn't try this before.
Wow.
But watching other people, it's hard to watch, because when you talk to people and they start making those excuses, you want to you empathize and sympathize with them because you remember what it feels like to feel that way. But then you realize that there's really no advice that you can give them, because they have to wake up on their own. There's nothing that you can give them a million books, you can give them a million YouTube videos, and maybe one. And this isn't in a defeatist way. It's more of a reality based way, because it took me a long time to wake up.
Yep. And you just got to lead by example. Show, look, I can make it, and so it's possible for you as well.
Hmm. And
That's
it,
the
it,
best
it
mindset.
absolutely is possible.
Yep.
So, what's one of your favorite books to read that you've ever just really get down or return to?
One book I'm actually not done yet. It was called University of Success, and it's like
Hmm.
each chapter is a bunch of different parts, and I'm getting so much out of it.
Hmm.
But one of my favorite books that I've actually had the biggest impact on me, which is probably going to be a little bit off.
Hmm.
It's a book called The Third Jesus,
Hmm.
and I was like,
Let me write this
okay.
down.
So the idea is that the first Jesus is the historical Jesus that we barely know nothing about.
Hmm.
And in the second, I'm not a churchy person, by the
Hmm.
way. And the second Jesus is the one that the Bible that's almost basically made up, or just the stories. And the
Hmm.
third one they're talking about is like have the spirit or the philosophy, the idea of and they break it down what his ideas was, and basically it's like how we can be like him. So like Savior is a title, it's not a name.
Hmm.
It's a title that like president is a title, so it's not like a name of a person. Multiple people can be president.
Hmm.
And so the word savior isn't one particular person. So
Hmm.
basically, the idea was it broke it down to show us that we can be that way. And being that way is somebody that's powerful, miraculous, leadership. Like
Hmm.
there's so much within the essence of the message, and it really made me see that the church has totally failed in explain and really giving the message of Jesus. They focus on telling the story about Jesus, but not the
Hmm.
message of Jesus, which is one that like, no, you're power. You can do anything beyond your wildest imagination. You can walk on water. You can you can heal people. You can
Yeah.
do all kinds of stuff. You can move mountains. And that book was really like made me like it got me to a place where I was like, holy crap! Like it just opened my eyes. Like you can really do. It just made life seem like miraculous. Like I could do
Wow.
miracles.
You can.
And for a
So I
while.
had this debate with my wife. Had you ever heard of It's called an Aryan, not like the brother Aryans, but like, and it's called an Aryan. Have you ever heard of it?
That's the name of the book.
No, no, I guess a class of people, right? So there's a
Mm,
class of people who claim that they live off air alone, right? You should
mm,
go YouTube it. So this one guy, said he was fat, morbidly obese. He's an American that currently lives in Jamaica. And the first thing he did was cut out meat because somebody advised it to, and then he cut out like sugars, and then he cut out fish, and then he cut out vegetables, so on and so on and so forth, until one day he was he said he lives off air alone, right?
he
And
doesn't
so
eat at all.
he doesn't eat it. He claims he does not eat it all, right? And so I asked my wife, I said, "Do you think that could be true?" And she said, "No, you're crazy. You're in the medical field. Why would you even believe that?" And my counter argument, and this is how powerful I believe the mind is, what if you only starve because you believe that you'll starve in your head? I'm not saying this is true, but what if that's the case? What if that's the only reason that you starve? And what if you actually are able to get nutrients um, from the air, but our minds won't allow us to do as such?
Mm.
It's possible. I mean,
Yeah, nobody can prove that's not true unless they can see it happen.
right.
I don't know anybody who starved without thinking that they're starving.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think because we're taught from an early age if you don't eat, you'll die or whatever. But like, what if that simply wasn't true? And it was just something that, because it was just, I mean, they have studies that show positivity doesn't affect outcomes when somebody's sick. Like, it's absolute, that's like 100% true. You can be so worrisome that you can get yourself sick. The mind is insane. Like cancer patients have better outcomes when they are positive. We've seen what videos of mothers gaining superhuman strength when their children are in danger. Um, the mind is the director. It does so much, both like, so I alluded to brainwashing. So if you think about somebody getting washed, we think of them strapped to a little chair. They're playing music or whatever message over and over in this person's head. By the time this person comes out, they're like, "All hail Dan Nzinga, he is our leader." That's what we think mind control
Yeah,
is. But what if so what happens if you're feeding yourself negative self-talk all day, every single day?
yeah, that's what you're gonna believe. And I talk to people who are just so stuck in this negative
Loop.
idea, like even from the door, they just like negative. I was talking to this lady yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
the first time, and I showed her my the project that we're doing. We're helping these women in the Dominican Republic, and her first reaction was, and she saw the first of all, she didn't really believe. She was like, okay, whatever. She didn't really believe, and I showed it to her, and her first reaction was, "Oh, you're getting a profit out of that." And it's funny because I was actually because we need somebody to check the homework because my Spanish isn't that good,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting somebody. I was basically hiring somebody or looking into seeing if I can get help with somebody to check the work in Spanish. And she was like, yeah, okay, fine. Over there it's not a lot. You got to pay me $100 per month or whatever because it's not that difficult. So she was like, okay, cool. She had no problem with the money or the amount of work, but when she saw what it was, she was like, oh, you're making a profit out of this. And I'm like, no, everything that we come in, we go for the program. But I'm like, but you're here trying to get like you would be making a profit. Like her negative idea until she like doesn't have a job, needs the money, but declined it just because she didn't. It was like negative. She already was negative about it.
That
Like
doesn't even make sense.
yeah, like she's already negative about like you're making a profit out of this. I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah. I'm like, no, this is how we do it. It's people that support that are taking the challenge in the States. They support and they give the money. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm like, but you said it like a negative thing. Even if I was, because you are going to like
Yeah, like, so it's like, do you want that? I can't even wrap my head around what that could possibly mean to her.
it's just a negative thought in their head that they're stuck. It doesn't even make sense. But they just have a fear of maybe because in the past people came and started organizations or started stuff and then took half the money or whatever. I don't know what story it is. But there's some story there about charities that totally like scares her or it brought up some negative feeling or thing. So I don't know what it was. And she never dealt with that. Until she deals with that, she's always going to have this negative connotation when it comes to, I don't know if it's charities or when it comes to women. I don't know what it is, but there was definitely something there that she needs to work on.
Well, I have found now, because, like I said, I've been going up and up, but I have found the greatest defense for negative and petty people. There's an old story, and you can stop me if you heard it, about the bear rabbit and the tar baby. Have you ever heard this?
Go
So
ahead.
at first I was reluctant because I was like, tar baby, oh, it's gonna be one of them kind of old school things, but it's not. So the bear rabbit is walking by, and there's this little tar baby. The tar baby comes up to the bear rabbit and is like, "You ugly." And so there's a bunch of people around. Tar baby, I mean, the bear rabbit gets upset, hits the tar baby, gets his finger stuck, gets his hand stuck. The tar baby keeps just riding this guy, just riding him. And the bear rabbit keeps responding. He tries to kick him. He tries to punch him. He tries to wrestle with him. But the next thing he know, he's completely covered in tar, and he can't get out, and he feels like a fool. And really, what the story is about, when you run into negative, just not good people, you don't have to engage with them. Your better bet is to let them be who they're going to be, because you can't change anybody except who they are, and leave them alone. For some
Yeah.
reason, we get so focused on negative people. Like, we will miss all the love that's around us and just sit there and hyper focus on the one person that doesn't like us, or is just negative in general.
Important to ask
What's that?
people, they want to be coached. Do they want advice?
Mm-hmm.
Do they want to get out of their negativity?
Mm-hmm.
They don't, then you're not going to stop them. you
Nope.
know, because
Nope.
evil is created in the mind, so you
Yeah.
can always just create evil.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. It's not a physical thing. So anybody can just create it in their head and just have it's a story.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is committed to that story. They're attached to that. You're not going to be able to change them.
Nope. Nope. And the thing about it is, what you start to realize is, in habit building, once you do a habit for so long, something magical happens. And that's, even if it's a positive habit, you grow to gain comfort in that habit. Like, if you start working out a lot, at first it feels weird, but then all of a sudden you're like, man, you feel odd if there's a day that you don't get to work out. It becomes a comfort measure. That's your go to place. And you can determine that. Well, guess what happens with negative people? Negative people, that's their go to place. They're comfortable in that habit. That's who they are. There's even some people, as strange as it sounds, relish in their negativity, and they disguise it as being a realist or whatever they want to shape it and call it. But you can gauge a lot about a person by, you don't remember everything that somebody says to you, but you do remember how they make you feel.
Yeah, 100%.
And so when I try to walk away from people now, I mean, for the most part, I always try to stay a pretty positive guy, because I don't see failures like most people see them. Uh, oh, Dan, um, I don't feel I don't feel see failures the same way as everybody else. Hold on, because to me, everything's just a learning, just learning. That's it. I don't even see failure anymore. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Well, I'll just try something else, and that's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
you know how I said earlier that the thing makes you. You don't make it; it makes you. Whatever your goal is. Well, failure to me is like just that thing telling you
Hmm.
take another route. I mean, you're not fair. You didn't fail as long as and I one thing I teach and I teach that in core that there's actually only two ways to fail. That there's two
Hmm.
ways to fail. One, if you quit.
Yep.
Two, if you die.
Yep. I
As
saw
long
your
as you
video
ain't
on that.
dead, you're still in the game,
That's
and
right.
you didn't quit. And then once even if you quit, you start back up again. Then your game is back on.
Yeah.
It's like no matter what goal you have, I see it like a soccer game or a basketball game where, in basketball, a game can go into overtime. A game
Hmm.
technically can't end as long as it's still tied. It just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if you had an overtime card where you can pull that overtime card to put the game into overtime, no matter what the score was.
Mm-hmm.
So the team is you're losing by 20 points and the clock is running out, and as soon as the clock runs out, you pull out your overtime card. You show your overtime card. They add 5 more minutes to the clock. You play again, play again. You'll be still down by 40 now, 40 into the clock. Then you tired up until you're winning, and then you're like ahead, and he's like, okay, now I'm good. So the game is never over until you choose not to use your overtime card. No matter what goal you have, you can always extend the time you have
Mm-hmm.
and keep playing until you win. So there's no losing
Right.
unless you quit or if you die, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, I guess technically the game would be over then.
Yeah.
Um,
But so there is no failure based on something that happened in the game.
mm-hmm.
So failure is of you not wanting to continue. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
You know,
Nice.
that's how I see it.
No, and that, I mean, to me, after you get to a certain place, if you want success, that's the only way you can see it. I remember Brett Favre, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. He said that the moment he throws a ball, he forgets about the pass and he just moves on to the next pass, whether good or bad. He just leaves it exactly where it is and doesn't let him affect his next throw. And I've been carrying that around with me for a couple of years. But Dan,
Agreed.
I'm gonna wrap this show up. Is there any? How can the people find you? How can they get on the challenge? Drop some information. I'll put it in um, the
Well, let me
who,
just say
what.
one last thing before I
Yeah,
go
man. Go
about
ahead.
about what you just said with the past, because
Mm-hmm.
that's so profound. And whoever's listening, I want them to get everything there is to be got on this call and
Mm-hmm.
this conversation is about being in the moment and not worrying about failure. Is a story of and I use basketball examples all the time. BJ Armstrong was giving an interview and he said Michael Jordan never kept score of the games, and they had something with the rookies where it'd be like, "Hey, what's the score?" And the answer was 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
He always said it's 0-0. So every single possession for him was 0-0, whether they're
Mm-hmm.
on defense or offense. So he didn't worry about what happened a play ago, 2 plays ago. He always
Mm-hmm.
played. And naturally, most players, if you're up by 20 points, you kind of chill out. Or if you're down by 20 points, you're kind of like, relax or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's not the same. But for him, every single play was the same. Every time they got the ball, it was the game had just started. It's 0-0. I'm not down. I'm not up, and that's how he kept his motivation going and
Mm-hmm.
being in that moment. And if we can live our lives that way, imagine every morning you wake up and the score is 0-0. I mean, there's no failures. You're just starting fresh. And you know
Mm-hmm.
how when you're like first day at the job, everyone's always excited. They always have that newness to it. So imagine you go into your job every day like it's the first day of work and you have
Mm-hmm.
that same energy,
Mm-hmm.
what you can do in 10 years, in 5 years. You that like the first day you started your entrepreneurship journey, first started
Mm-hmm.
your company, the first day you started your company, that excitement. And just say, hey, 0-0. Whatever happened yesterday is yesterday. Now it's zero
Mm-hmm.
zero. I
Facts.
mean, that's one thing when I remember it just excites me and say I can live that way and I can help other
Absolutely.
people that
You
way.
can choose that. But so give us your contact information, man. How can people find you, reach out to you?
So people can find me on Facebook. My name is Dan Dreamwork. Dreamwork is the name of the company. We have a Facebook group that we like to have people in and talk about positive stuff. But every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
I have an inspiration call. It's free. It's on Zoom. Maybe we can share it. And every Sunday we inspire anybody who's interested in these 6 desires or 6 values that we have, which is achievement,
Mm-hmm.
the first one, fun, because we think you have to have fun in life,
All right.
and making people happy. If you're achieving and people around you, your team or other people are not being made happy based on your success,
Mm-hmm.
like Magic Johnson wins a championship. I never seen this guy in my life in real life, but he makes me happy.
Right.
So to win, to have fun, to make people happy is like the first three. And
Mm-hmm.
then people who believe in community because we believe you can do more with the community, with groups of people, community. And then being in your zone is what we teach how to get in the zone, how to stay in the zone. And lastly, charity. These 6 things is what we inspire people to do and to experience because we believe happiness is the most important thing. And if you have these 6 things, which is, to achieve, to have fun, making people happy, community, being in your zone, and participating in charity, you will have an extraordinary life. That's what everybody wants, in my opinion. It's not one thing. And so our whole community, we try to inspire based on that. So you can put the link. Anybody's welcome, or if you go on the Facebook group, that whole community has also a WhatsApp chat that we,
So
you
what's
can
the name
also.
of the Facebook group?
It's called Inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
Motivation, Support.
Okay.
That's the name of the group. Inspiration. If you go on my thing of my what groups I'm in, like through
Mm-hmm.
my Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll send it to you. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can add it.
send it to me. I'm gonna put it before I post this episode, which I'll probably put up sometime next week. I'll put all that contact information in there so people can reach out to you, man, and hop on this challenge.
Yeah, and then from there, they once they got me from there, and then we can go for someone wants to participate in a challenge themselves. They definitely make a difference and keep you on track.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they want to create their own challenges, which is what a lot of people are doing, they're creating their own challenges for their group. Like I would love to create a challenge for your audience,
What?
specifically based
How?
on what.
Well,
Yeah.
what do I need to do to make that happen?
Well, you just have to say yes. It's like the universe. Once you say yes, it
Yeah,
all
man.
happens.
Yes, absolutely,
Oh, for
absolutely.
your for your listeners, there might be a challenge that you want. So basically, if you want somebody to get a habit
Mm-hmm.
or learn something or have some kind of some tools in their hands,
Yeah,
uh, that's what it is. And
yeah.
then I do focus on those six things:
Okay.
achievement, fun, and so and I can create your own. You give me your content, and I
Oh
just
wow.
create the 21-day challenge from that content. And that's the one that we're doing now, Noreen.
Mm-hmm.
The one that you're doing is she just gave me her content. I just created it from the.
Okay. I mean, well, we'll talk about this more offline. This is exciting. I'm absolutely down for something like this. And it's unexpected. I wasn't expecting this, so this will be really fun.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I'm sharing in the group with you the Facebook group. I share the Facebook group, and I will share the WhatsApp chat. Anybody can join. Again, it's very
Okay.
positive, inspirational, and that's the purpose of it.
All right, man. Appreciate you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you for having me. Anybody who's listening, thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
All right. Bye bye.
So, everybody, that was Dan Nzinga. This will be really interesting and fun when he makes this challenge. I just posted up the group in there. Okay. When he makes this challenge, I'm eager to see. Let me post some more of this stuff. I'm eager to see where this goes. I think it'll be. I think it'll be really fun, and I'm excited. If anybody wants to call in, you can call in. I'll hang on for a little bit longer before I get off. Um, this has been good. This has been a good episode. A lot of positive energy exchanged. And I think really that's all this thing is about, right? The mystery of life is that you need to do what you like to do as you need to do it. A new phrase that I have come to, I talked to Toggle about this. If somebody asks me something like why I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I had something say it's not because I said so, because I choose to. Everything that I do in my life at this point is because I choose to. And that's no debate. There's nothing to debate about. If you don't like what I'm doing, that's okay. That's your participation is not required. I love all you guys. Thank you so much. Here, baby in the background. If there's no other callers, I'll holler at you boys later.